I never thought I'd have to teach my own son such a painful lesson. After 35 years of being a mother, I watched helplessly as my bank account was drained by my only child. The same boy I had sacrificed everything for. Adam took $42,000 from me without permission and jetted off to Europe with his wife Yvonne and her mother. They were living it up on my retirement savings while I struggled to pay for my blood pressure medication. But what happened next changed everything. When Adam called me sobbing from a hotel room 3 days later, his words cut deep. "What did you do, Mom? I hate you." Little did he know, my so-called revenge wasn't about punishment at all. It was about love, the toughest kind of love a mother could show. This is the story of how I let my son hit rock bottom, so he could finally learn to stand on his own 2 feet. My name is Mrs. Lopez. I'm 60 years old now, but this story begins just 2 years ago when I was still working as a receptionist at the local dental office. Every morning, I would wake up at 5:30, make a cup of tea, and sit by the window in my small but cozy living room. That quiet moment was often the only peace I'd have all day. You see, for the past 5 years, my son Adam had been living with me again. Adam wasn't a bad person. In fact, he had the biggest heart of anyone I knew. When he was little, he'd bring home injured birds and nurse them back to health. He would give away his lunch if he saw another child without one. That kind heart of his made me so proud. But as he grew older, I realized it came with a cost. Adam never learned to look after himself. He was always too busy taking care of everyone else, especially his wife Yvonne. "Mom, can I borrow $20 for gas?" This was almost a daily question from Adam. At first, I didn't mind helping out. After all, that's what mothers do, right? We help our children when they need it. But $20 for gas turned into $50 for groceries. Then it was $300 for their car payment. Before I knew it, I was covering their rent too. "It's just until I get back on my feet," Adam would promise. "The construction job starts next month, and then I'll pay you back everything." But the construction job would fall through, or the restaurant where he waited tables would close down. There was always some reason why Adam couldn't quite make ends meet. And through it all, there was Yvonne. Now I want to be clear. I tried my best to love Yvonne like a daughter. When Adam brought her home 5 years ago, I welcomed her with open arms. She was pretty, with long dark hair and a smile that lit up Adam's face in a way I hadn't seen since he was a boy. But there was something about Yvonne that worried me from the start. "You should see the shoes Yvonne bought me, Mom," Adam would say, showing off expensive leather boots that I knew they couldn't afford. "She says I deserve nice things." While Adam struggled to find steady work, Yvonne always seemed to have the newest phone or designer purse. She worked part-time at a beauty salon, but her spending habits suggested a much higher income. I tried not to judge. Maybe her family helped her out, I thought. But deep down, I worried that my son had found someone who encouraged his worst habits rather than his best qualities. Then there was Ruby, my daughter. Unlike her brother, Ruby had always been practical and independent. Even as a child, she insisted on doing things herself. "I can do it, Mom," she would say, her little face screwed up with determination as she tied her own shoes or made her bed. Now at 35, Ruby lived 2 hours away with her husband and 2 children. She was a nurse, working long shifts at the hospital, yet she still found time to call me every Sunday evening. "How's Adam?" she would always ask, her voice tinged with concern. "Is he still living with you?" I would assure her that it was temporary, that Adam was looking for work, that things would change soon. But as the months turned into years, even I was having trouble believing it. It wasn't that I minded the company. After Ruby's father, my husband Frank, passed away 10 years ago, the house had felt too big, too empty. Having Adam around filled some of that emptiness. We would watch game shows together in the evening, and he always made sure to bring me my favorite chocolate cookies when he went to the store. Small kindnesses that made my day brighter. But I wasn't getting any younger. The dental office where I worked was cutting back hours, and my retirement savings weren't growing the way they needed to. I had always imagined these years would be my time to travel a little, maybe visit Ruby and the grandkids more often. Instead, I was working overtime to support not just myself, but my adult son and his wife. "Mom, you're the best," Adam would say, giving me a big hug after I handed over money for yet another bill. I don't know what we'd do without you." Those words both warmed my heart and chilled it. I loved being needed, loved feeling that I was still an important part of my son's life. But I also feared what would happen to him when I was gone. Who would bail him out then? And then there was Ben, Yvonne's mother. Ben, short for Benita, was a force of nature. Divorced 3 times, she lived in a fancy condo downtown that her last husband had bought her in the settlement. Ben was always planning some trip or adventure, and she had a way of making everyone around her feel like they were missing out if they didn't join in. "Mrs. L," she would say when she visited, looking around my modest home with barely concealed disdain. "You really should treat yourself more. Life is short. Come with us to the casino this weekend. You might win big." I always declined these invitations. I wasn't a gambler by nature, and the few times I had joined them, I'd watched in horror as Adam and Yvonne lost hundreds of dollars in a single evening. Money I knew they had to borrow from someone if not from me. Ben never seemed to worry about money. "The universe provides," she would say with a wave of her bejeweled hand. I often wondered if the universe, in this case, meant her ex-husband's alimony checks or her daughter and my son's borrowed funds. It was during one of Ben's visits that the idea of the European trip first came up. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I had just returned from church. Adam, Yvonne, and Ben were sitting around my kitchen table, travel brochures spread out before them. "Mom," Adam called excitedly when he saw me. "Come look at these." Ben found an amazing deal on a tour package to Italy, France, and Spain. 2 weeks hitting all the major cities. "Doesn't it look incredible?" I glanced at the glossy brochures showing the Eiffel Tower, the canals of Venice, and the beaches of Barcelona. "It looks lovely," I said carefully, hanging up my coat. "When are you planning to go?" "That's the best part," Yvonne chimed in, her eyes bright with excitement. "The deal is only available if we book this week for next month's departure. It's off-season, so everything is discounted." I nodded, trying to hide my concern. Adam had been between jobs for 3 months now. The last time he had steady work was at a warehouse, but he'd quit after 2 weeks because he said the manager had it out for him. How could they possibly afford a European vacation? "Sounds expensive," I said, trying to keep my voice light. Ben laughed, a tinkling sound like wind chimes. "That's what credit cards are for, Mrs. L. Live a little." I saw the way Adam's face fell slightly at my lack of enthusiasm. It broke my heart. All I ever wanted was for my children to be happy. And here was Adam, excited about something, showing a spark of joy that had been missing lately. But a European vacation? When they couldn't even pay their own rent. "I'm sure it will be wonderful," I said, forcing a smile. "But maybe you should wait until you're a bit more stable financially?" Adam's face darkened. "Mom, you always say that. When am I going to get to enjoy life a little? I'm already 38. Dad was already well-traveled by my age." That wasn't exactly true. Frank and I had taken the kids to Niagara Falls once and Disney World twice. We'd driven to see family in Texas a few times. Hardly world travelers. But Adam had always had a tendency to romanticize the past, especially when it suited his argument. "I just don't want you going into debt," I said gently. "Don't worry about us," Yvonne cut in, putting her arm around Adam's shoulders. "We've been saving up. This is important to us." I didn't believe that for a second, but I didn't want to argue in front of Ben. So I just nodded and went to put the kettle on for tea. As I waited for the water to boil, I could hear them behind me, voices low but excited, planning their European adventure. My stomach twisted with worry. That night, after Adam and Yvonne had gone to their room in the basement, and Ben had left for her condo, I called Ruby. "I don't know what to do," I confessed after telling her about the trip. "They can barely afford groceries. How can they be planning a European vacation?" Ruby sighed heavily. "Mom, you know exactly how they're planning to pay for it. They're going to ask you." "Adam wouldn't do that," I said, but my protest sounded weak even to my own ears. "This is too much. He knows I'm trying to save for retirement." "Does he?" Ruby's voice was gentle but firm. "Mom, you've been bailing him out for years. Why would he think this time is any different?" I didn't have an answer for that. Ruby was right, of course. I had never set proper boundaries with Adam. When he asked for money, I gave it. When he needed a place to stay, I opened my home. When he made promises to do better, to be more responsible, I believed him. Even when history suggested I shouldn't. You need to say no this time, Mom, Ruby continued. For Adam's sake as much as yours. He's never going to learn to stand on his own 2 feet if you're always there to catch him when he falls. I know, I whispered, tears forming in my eyes. But he's my baby. I can't bear to see him struggle. He's not a baby anymore, Mom. He's a grown man. And sometimes the kindest thing a mother can do is let her children make their own mistakes. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room for a long time, thinking about Ruby's words. I knew she was right. I had always found it easier to be firm with Ruby. Perhaps because she rarely needed my intervention. She made good choices, learned from her mistakes, and picked herself up when she fell. Adam was different. He had always been more sensitive, more easily discouraged. When faced with a challenge, his first instinct was to look for help rather than find a solution. I had enabled this behavior, I realized. Out of love. Out of a desire to protect him from hardship. I had actually prevented Adam from developing the resilience he needed to face life's challenges. In trying to be a good mother, I had failed him in a fundamental way. That night, I made a decision. If Adam asked me for money for this trip, I would say no. It would be hard, perhaps the hardest thing I'd ever done. But it was time for tough love. For both our sakes. Little did I know, Adam had already made plans that would make my decision irrelevant. And those plans would set in motion a chain of events that would test the limits of my love for my son in ways I never imagined. The week after Ben's visit, I noticed Adam and Yvonne whispering a lot. They'd stop talking when I entered a room, or quickly change the subject to something mundane like the weather or what was for dinner. At first, I didn't think much of it. They were adults, entitled to their privacy. But as the days went on, I began to sense that something wasn't right. Is everything okay with you too? I asked one evening as we sat watching TV. Everything's great, Mom, Adam said quickly, too quickly. Why do you ask? You just seem secretive lately. I'm worried about you. Yvonne laughed, but it sounded forced. You worry too much, Mrs. Lopez. We're fine. Just planning a surprise, that's all. A surprise. I repeated, my heart sinking. I had a feeling I knew what kind of surprise they might be planning. Yvonne, Adam hissed, giving her a look. What? I didn't say what kind of surprise, she said with a shrug. After that, I kept a closer eye on them. I noticed they were spending more time on their computers, quickly minimizing windows when I came near. One afternoon, I walked past their room and heard Adam on the phone saying, Yes, that's right. 3 tickets. Lopez, Adam. Lopezet. 3 tickets. So Ben was going too. I felt a pang of hurt that they were planning this trip behind my back, but I reminded myself that they were adults. They didn't need my permission to travel. What worried me was how they were planning to pay for it. The answer to that question came sooner than I expected. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was at work at the dental office. My phone rang during a brief lull between patients. It was my bank. Mrs. Lopez, said a polite voice. This is Sarah from First National Bank. I'm calling because we've noticed some unusual activity on your account and wanted to verify that these transactions are authorized. My heart began to pound. What kind of unusual activity? There have been several large withdrawals over the past few days. Yesterday, $15,000 was transferred from your savings account to another account. This morning, there was another transfer of $27,000 from your retirement fund. The room seemed to spin around me. Those numbers added up to $42,000, almost all of my life savings. The money I had carefully put away over decades of work. The money that was supposed to support me in my old age. I didn't authorize those transfers, I stammered. I see, said Sarah, her voice turning serious. In that case, we'll need to report this as fraud and begin an investigation. The account the money was transferred to is under the name of Adam Lopez. Is that name familiar to you? Adam. My son. My own flesh and blood had stolen from me. The realization hit me like a physical blow, making me gasp for air. Mrs. Lopez? Are you still there? Sarah sounded concerned. Yes. I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Adam is my son. There was a pause. I see. And did you authorize him to access your accounts? Had I? Years ago, when Frank died, I had added Adam as a signatory on my checking account. It was a practical decision at the time. If something happened to me, he would be able to handle my affairs. But I never imagined he would use that access to drain my savings without my knowledge or permission. I made him a signatory on my checking account, I said slowly, but not on my savings or retirement accounts. He shouldn't have been able to transfer money from those. Actually, once someone has access to one of your accounts, they can often request access to linked accounts, especially if they have your personal information. We should have verified these requests with you directly, and I apologize that we didn't. We'll look into how this happened. In the meantime, would you like us to try to reverse these transfers? Yes, please, I said immediately. I should warn you, if the money has already been spent, we may not be able to recover it all. And since Mr. Lopez is an authorized user on at least one of your accounts, this may be considered a civil rather than criminal matter. In other words, the bank might not be able to help me. I would have to confront Adam myself. I left work early that day, telling my boss it was a family emergency, which it was. I drove home in a daze, my thoughts whirling. How could Adam do this to me? Had he been planning this all along? Did he think I wouldn't notice $42,000 missing from my accounts? When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed immediately that Adam's car was gone. With shaking hands, I unlocked the front door and called out, "Adam? Yvonne? Are you home?" The house was silent. I went straight to their room in the basement. The door was open, which was unusual. They typically kept it closed. Inside, the room was in disarray, with drawers left half open and clothes scattered about. On the bed was an envelope with my name written on it in Adam's handwriting. With a sense of dread, I opened it and began to read. "Mom, by the time you read this, we'll be on our way to Europe. I know you'll be angry about the money, but try to understand. This trip means everything to us. Yvonne's been going through a tough time since her dad got sick, and Ben thought a family trip would cheer her up. I promise I'll pay you back every penny once we return. I've got a line on a great job that starts next month, and I'll work double shifts if I have to. Please don't worry about us. We'll send lots of pictures. And don't worry about the money. You've always said family is more important than money, right? Love you, Adam." I sat down heavily on the bed, the letter clutched in my trembling hands. Family is more important than money. How many times had I said those words to my children? But this wasn't about choosing between family and money. This was about trust, respect, and responsibility. Values I thought I had instilled in my son. My first instinct was to call Adam immediately, to demand that he come home and explain himself. But when I reached for my phone, I realized I didn't know how to contact him. Would he have his regular phone with him in Europe, or would he be using some kind of international service? I tried calling anyway, but it went straight to voicemail. Next, I called Ruby. As soon as she heard my voice, she knew something was wrong. "Mom, what happened?" Through tears, I told her everything. The suspicious behavior, the bank's call, the missing money, the letter. That little. Ruby didn't finish the sentence, but I could hear the fury in her voice. "I'm coming over. I'll be there in 2 hours." "You don't have to do that, honey. You have work, the kids." "This isn't a discussion, Mom. I'm coming." While I waited for Ruby to arrive, I tried to gather my thoughts. Part of me was heartbroken, betrayed by the child I had raised and loved unconditionally. Another part was furious. How dare he steal from me, his own mother? And yet another part was terrified. That money represented my security, my independence. Without it, I might have to keep working well into my 70s, or become dependent on my children in my old age. Ruby arrived in record time, her face set with determination. She hugged me tightly, then immediately went into problem-solving mode. "Have you called the bank again? What did they say about recovering the money?" I shook my head. "They said they'd try, but if the money's been spent..." "Let's find out," Ruby said, pulling out her phone. She spent the next hour on calls with the bank, speaking with increasing frustration to various managers and security personnel. Finally, she hung up with a sigh. The money was transferred to Adam's account, then immediately withdrawn as cash. He must have been planning this for days. The bank says because he's a signatory on your checking account, and because you're related, it's going to be complicated to pursue this as fraud. So it's gone? All of it. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Ruby sat beside me and took my hand. Not necessarily. We have options. We can file a police report. Adam did take the money without your explicit permission. Or we can try to contact him directly and insist he return the money immediately. The thought of filing a police report against my own son made me physically ill. I can't do that to him, Ruby. He's still my son. Mom. Ruby's voice was firm. What Adam did is theft. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. He took advantage of your trust and stole your retirement savings. He says he'll pay it back. Even to my own ears, I sounded naive. With what money? Ruby asked gently. The job that starts next month? How many times has he told you about jobs that were supposed to start next month? Too many times to count. I knew she was right, but I couldn't bear the thought of Adam having a criminal record because of me. What kind of mother sends her own child to jail? Let me try to contact him first, I pleaded. If that doesn't work, then we'll consider other options. Ruby didn't look happy about it, but she nodded. Okay. But Mom, you need to be prepared for the possibility that Adam won't respond, or that he'll make more promises he can't keep. You need to decide now what you'll do if that happens. I knew she was right. This time had to be different. This time, there had to be consequences. For the next 2 days, Ruby stayed with me. We tried every way we could think of to contact Adam. Emails, messages to Yvonne's social media accounts, even reaching out to Ben through the real estate company where she occasionally worked. Nothing. It was as if they had dropped off the face of the earth. Or rather, as if they were deliberately avoiding us. Because on the 3rd day, Yvonne posted a photo on her social media. It showed the 3 of them, Adam, Yvonne, and Ben, smiling broadly in front of the Eiffel Tower. The caption read, "Living our best life. Hashtag Paris, hashtag dream come true, hashtag no regrets. No regrets." Those words felt like a slap in the face. My son had stolen my life savings, and he had no regrets. That was when something inside me changed. The hurt and confusion gave way to a cold, clear anger. Not a vengeful anger, but the kind of righteous indignation that comes from knowing you've been wronged by someone you trusted implicitly. I've been enabling him, I said to Ruby as we looked at the photo. All these years I've been making excuses for him, bailing him out, letting him avoid the consequences of his actions. And look where it's got us. Ruby squeezed my shoulder. It's not your fault, Mom. You were just being a mother. No. I shook my head firmly. A good mother prepares her children for the real world. I've been protecting Adam from it. That stops now. What are you going to do? Ruby asked, studying my face. I took a deep breath. I'm going to let Adam experience the consequences of his actions. For once in his life, I'm not going to rescue him. Are you sure? This isn't just about money, Mom. This could change your relationship with him forever. It already has, I said quietly. The question now is whether we can build something better from the ruins. That afternoon, I called the bank again. I explained the situation once more and asked what options I had. The representative was sympathetic, but not optimistic. As I mentioned before, because Mr. Lopez is an authorized user on one of your accounts, this is complicated. However, we can put a freeze on all your remaining accounts to prevent any further unauthorized access. And we can flag his accounts if he tries to open any new ones with our bank. Please do that, I said. Then, taking a deep breath, I added, and I'd like to revoke his access to all my accounts, effective immediately. Of course, Mrs. Lopez. We'll take care of that right away. Next, I called the credit card companies. Adam didn't have access to my credit cards directly, but I wanted to make sure there were no unexpected surprises. I learned that no charges had been made on my cards, which was a small relief. Finally, with Ruby's help, I changed all my passwords, email, social media, online banking, everything. We installed new locks on the house. We even went so far as to put a credit freeze with the major credit bureaus, just in case Adam got desperate enough to try to take out loans in my name. Do you think I'm overreacting? I asked Ruby as we finished securing my accounts and home. She shook her head. I think you're finally reacting appropriately. Adam broke your trust in a major way. It's going to take a lot for him to earn it back, if he ever can. That night, after Ruby had gone to bed in the guest room, I sat alone in the living room, looking at old photo albums. There was Adam as a baby, his face scrunched up in laughter as Frank tossed him in the air. There he was as a little boy, proudly holding up a fish he'd caught on a camping trip. And as a teenager, lanky and awkward in his prom suit, his arm around his date. Where had I gone wrong? Had I loved him too much? Not enough? Had I given him too much or too little? In the quiet of the night, I made a solemn promise to myself. Whatever happened next, I would not enable Adam's irresponsible behavior anymore. It would be painful for both of us, but it was necessary. Because sometimes, the most loving thing a mother can do is let her child face the consequences of his own actions. Little did I know how soon that resolve would be tested. 3 days after discovering the theft, my phone rang at 2:14 a.m. I had been sleeping fitfully, as I had every night since Adam left, and the sudden noise startled me awake. Fumbling in the dark, I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The screen showed an unfamiliar number with a foreign country code. "Hello," I said, my voice hoarse with sleep. "Mom." Adam's voice came through, sounding distant and distorted. "Mom, can you hear me?" I sat up straight, instantly wide awake. "Adam? Where are you? What's going on?" "Mom, something terrible has happened." His voice cracked, and I could tell he had been crying. "I need your help. We need your help." For a moment, my heart lurched with maternal worry. Was he hurt? In danger? But then I remembered the photo Yvonne had posted just hours earlier. The three of them smiling in front of the Eiffel Tower, living their best life on my stolen money. "What's happened, Adam?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "It's all gone, Mom. All the money. Someone stole it." A hollow laugh almost escaped me at the irony. "Someone stole the money that you stole from me? Is that what you're telling me?" "What?" "No, he faltered. "I didn't steal from you, Mom. I was going to pay you back. You know I was good for it." "No, Adam. I don't know that. What I do know is that you took $42,000 from my accounts without my permission. That's theft, no matter how you try to justify it." There was a long pause, filled only by the static of the international connection. "Then you know?" "Of course I know. The bank called me the day you left." Another pause. But you didn't try to stop the transfers. You didn't call the police." "I tried to contact you, but you were deliberately avoiding me. And no, I didn't call the police. I'm still deciding whether I should." "Mom, please." His voice took on the wheedling tone I knew so well. The tone he used whenever he wanted something from me. "We're in real trouble here. Someone broke into our hotel room while we were out sightseeing. They took everything, the cash, our phones, even our passports. We're stranded. The only reason I can even call you is because the hotel let me use their phone." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. Part of me, a large part, wanted to rush to his aid. To wire money immediately, to book him a flight home, to fix everything the way I always had. But Ruby's words echoed in my mind. Sometimes the kindest thing a mother can do is let her children make their own mistakes. "That's terrible, Adam," I said, keeping my voice level. "Have you contacted the local police? The American embassy?" "The police took a report, but they didn't seem hopeful. And the embassy says they can help with emergency passports, but we need to pay for them. And for new flights home. Mom, we're desperate here. Ben is having a meltdown and Yvonne won't stop crying. I don't know what to do." The old me would have given in immediately. But I was determined to be stronger this time. "What about the job that starts next month? The one you mentioned in your letter? Can you contact them for an advance?" "What? No, that's not a sure thing yet." Of course it wasn't. It never was. What about Ben's ex-husbands? Surely one of them could help. We tried. None of them are answering her calls. Please, Mom. I know I messed up, taking the money without asking. But I was going to pay you back, I swear. I just wanted to give Yvonne this trip. She's been so sad since her dad got sick, and I thought. You thought stealing from your mother was the solution? I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. Adam, do you have any idea what you've done? That money was my retirement fund. Money I've been saving for decades. Money that was supposed to support me when I'm too old to work. I know, Mom, I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Just, please help us now. We're desperate. I could hear the genuine fear in his voice, and it tugged at my heart. But I reminded myself of all the promises Adam had made and broken over the years. All the times he had sworn he would change, only to fall back into the same patterns of irresponsibility and dependence. Adam listened to me carefully. I said, my voice firm but not unkind. I'm not going to wire you any money. What? He sounded shocked, as if the possibility that I might refuse had never occurred to him. Mom, did you hear what I said? We're stranded in a foreign country with no money, no passports. I heard you, and I'm very sorry you're in this situation. But you put yourself there, Adam. You stole from me to fund this trip, and now you're facing the consequences of that decision. I can't believe this. His shock was giving way to anger. You're just going to leave us stranded here? Your own son? What kind of mother are you? The word stung, but I held firm. I'm the kind of mother who's finally realized that rescuing you over and over again hasn't helped you. It's only taught you that you don't have to be responsible for your own actions. This is unbelievable. We could be in real danger here, Mom. Are you in danger, Adam? Or are you just uncomfortable? Embarrassed? Inconvenienced? There are resources available to American citizens in trouble abroad. The embassy can help you get emergency passports. They can help you contact family members to wire money. You don't need me to solve this problem for you. But you're my mother. His voice cracked again, this time with outrage rather than fear. You're supposed to help me when I'm in trouble. Yes, I am your mother. And I love you more than you can possibly understand. That's why I'm not sending money this time. Because I love you too much to keep enabling behavior that will ultimately destroy you. There was a long silence. When Adam spoke again, his voice was cold. What did you do, Mom? Did you freeze the accounts? Is that why our cards stopped working? So the money hadn't been stolen after all. Their cards had simply been declined because I had frozen the accounts. I almost laughed at the transparent lie. Yes, Adam. I froze all my accounts and revoked your access. I also changed the locks on the house. You changed the locks? He sounded genuinely stunned. So when we get home, if you want to come home, we'll need to have a serious conversation first. About boundaries, respect, and consequences. I don't believe this, he muttered. My own mother. After everything I've done for you. That made me sit up straighter. What exactly have you done for me, Adam? You live in my house rent-free. You've borrowed thousands of dollars that you've never repaid. You eat food that I buy with my salary. And now you've stolen my retirement savings. So please, tell me what you've done for me that entitles you to my continued support. I keep you company, he shouted, abandoning all pretense of calm. I make sure you're not lonely. Do you know how sad and pathetic your life would be without me and Yvonne? You'd just be some bitter old woman living alone with her cats. His words hit me like a physical blow. Is that how he saw me? As some pathetic old woman who should be grateful for his presence? The realization was as painful as it was illuminating. I see, I said quietly. Is that what you tell yourself to justify taking advantage of me? That you're doing me a favor by allowing me to support you? That's not what I meant, he backpedaled quickly. I'm just upset. This whole situation is crazy. Yes, it is crazy. But it's a situation of your own making, Adam. And for once, I'm not going to fix it for you. So that's it? You're just abandoning us here? His voice rose in disbelief. I'm not abandoning you. I'm giving you an opportunity to solve your own problems for once. Call the embassy. Explain your situation. They deal with lost passports and stranded Americans all the time. And what about money? How are we supposed to pay for new flights? I don't know, Adam. That's for you to figure out. Maybe you can find work there until you save enough for tickets home. Maybe one of Yvonne's or Ben's friends can help. Maybe you can contact a travel assistance service. There are options. You just need to find them yourself. I can't believe you're doing this to me, he said, his voice dripping with contempt. What did I ever do to deserve a mother like you? The words were meant to hurt, and they did. But they also strengthened my resolve. This was exactly the pattern that had played out countless times before. Adam making bad choices, facing consequences, then manipulating me with guilt and emotional blackmail until I rescued him. Not this time. I love you, Adam, I said simply. That's never going to change. When you're ready to have an adult conversation about what happened and how we move forward, I'll be here. But I'm not sending money. I'm not booking flights. I'm not fixing this for you. Fine, he spat. I hate you. You're not my mother anymore. A real mother would never do this to her child. Before I could respond, the line went dead. He had hung up on me. I sat there in the dark, the phone still clutched in my hand, tears streaming down my face. His words echoed in my mind. I hate you. You're not my mother anymore. In all our disagreements over the years, Adam had never said anything so cruel, so final. Had I done the right thing? Or had I just destroyed my relationship with my son forever? I didn't sleep again that night. When morning came, Ruby found me sitting at the kitchen table, staring into a cold cup of tea. Mom, are you okay? She asked, concern written across her face. You look like you haven't slept. Slowly, I told her about Adam's call. The lies about the money being stolen, the anger when he realized I had frozen the accounts, the final, devastating words before he hung up. Ruby sat across from me, her face a mixture of sympathy and resolve. You did the right thing, Mom. It wasn't easy, but it was right. He said he hates me, that I'm not his mother anymore. My voice caught on the words. Ruby reached across the table and squeezed my hand. He was angry and scared. People say things they don't mean in those situations. What if he doesn't come back? What if this is it? The end of our relationship? Do you really believe that? Ruby asked gently. Do you really think Adam is capable of cutting you out of his life forever? I considered this. Despite everything, Adam had always maintained a connection with me. Even when he moved out to live with friends in his 20s, he had called regularly. Even during his brief, disastrous first marriage, he had sought my advice and support. And when that marriage ended, it was my doorstep he showed up on, suitcase in hand. No, I admit it. He'll come back eventually, when he needs something. Exactly. And when he does, you'll have an opportunity to establish new, healthier boundaries. This isn't the end, Mom. It's the beginning of a different kind of relationship. One based on mutual respect rather than dependence. I nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time since discovering the theft. You're right. This was necessary. Painful but necessary. And in the meantime, Ruby continued, you need to focus on yourself, on rebuilding your savings, on planning for your future, on living your life for you, not for Adam. She was right, of course. For too long, I had put Adam's needs above my own. It was time to reclaim my life, my independence, my future. Little did I know, that future would include another call from Adam. One that would test my new resolve in ways I never imagined. In the days following Adam's angry call, I threw myself into rebuilding my life. With Ruby's help, I met with a financial advisor to assess the damage to my retirement plans and develop a strategy for moving forward. The news wasn't as dire as I had feared. I had other investments that Adam hadn't been able to access, and my house was fully paid off thanks to Frank's life insurance. I would need to work for several more years, but with careful planning, I wouldn't end up destitute. Ruby stayed with me for a week, helping me put my financial affairs in order, and, just as importantly, providing emotional support as I wrestled with feelings of guilt, betrayal, and worry about Adam. Have you heard anything more from him? She asked as she prepared to return to her family. I shook my head. Not a word. I've been checking my phone constantly, but nothing. He'll call, Ruby said confidently. When he realizes you're serious this time, he'll call. After Ruby left, the house felt emptier than ever. Without Adam and Yvonne's constant presence, without the drama and demands that had defined my days for so long, I found myself at loose ends. What did I want for myself, now that I was truly on my own? The answer came gradually, as I reconnected with old friends, joined a book club at the library, and even signed up for a painting class I had always been interested in but never had time for. I started taking long walks in the morning, enjoying the peace and solitude. I visited Ruby and her family more often, delighting in my grandchildren's energy and curiosity. Slowly, a new life began to take shape. One centered around my own interests and needs rather than Adam's. It wasn't that I had stopped loving him or caring about his welfare. Far from it. But I was learning that loving my son didn't mean sacrificing my own well-being for his. 2 weeks after Adam's call, my phone rang with another unfamiliar international number. My heart raced as I answered. "Hello, Mrs. Lopez?" The voice was female, professional, unfamiliar. "Yes, this is she. This is Amanda Wilson with American Citizen Services at the U.S. Embassy in Paris. I'm calling regarding your son, Adam Lopez." My stomach dropped. "Is he all right? Has something happened?" "He's fine, Mrs. Lopez. He asked me to contact you. He and his wife and mother-in-law are here at the embassy seeking assistance. They've lost their passports and are out of funds." So they had finally gone to the embassy. I felt a mixture of relief and vindication. "Yes, I'm aware of their situation." There was a slight pause. "Mr. Lopez has indicated that you might be willing to wire funds for emergency passports and return airfare to the United States. The total amount would be approximately $3,500 for all three of them." I took a deep breath. This was the test. It would be so easy to say yes, to wire the money, to bring Adam home where I could see him, make sure he was safe. But that would only reinforce the pattern we had been stuck in for years. "I'm afraid that won't be possible," I said firmly. "I see." Ms. Wilson's voice remained neutral. "May I ask why?" Briefly, I explained the situation. How Adam had taken my retirement savings without permission to fund this trip in the first place. "I understand," Ms. Wilson said when I finished. "This isn't the first time we've dealt with similar family situations. Would you like me to convey any message to your son?" I thought for a moment. "Yes. Please tell him that I love him, but that my position hasn't changed. He needs to find his own solution to this problem. I'll let him know. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Lopez." After hanging up, I sat holding my phone, half expecting it to ring again immediately with Adam on the line, furious that I had refused to help. But the call didn't come. Instead, later that day, I received a text message from an unfamiliar number. "Mom, it's Adam. Using embassy phone. Can't believe you're doing this." "Fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. Don't worry about us." The message was clearly meant to make me feel guilty, but instead, I felt a strange sense of pride. "We'll figure it out ourselves." Those were words I had never expected to hear from Adam. Days turned into weeks with no further word from Adam. I continued rebuilding my life, focusing on the positive changes I was making. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee with a kind widower from my painting class who made me laugh for the first time in months. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on the situation through Yvonne's social media, which she updated sporadically. From her posts, I gathered that they had indeed received emergency passports but were still in Paris, apparently working to earn money for flights home. One photo showed Adam in a waiter's uniform, looking tired but determined. The caption read, "So proud of my hubby, working hard so we can get home. #hustle and grind #whatever it takes." I felt a surge of emotion seeing that photo. Adam, my son, working as a waiter in Paris to solve a problem he had created. It couldn't have been easy for him. He had always avoided service jobs, claiming they were beneath him. Yet there he was, doing what needed to be done. Maybe, just maybe, this experience was teaching him the lesson I had tried and failed to impart for so many years. 6 weeks after they had left, I received another text from Adam. "Got tickets home. Arriving Thursday, 2 p.m. Flight 287. Don't bother picking us up. We'll manage." Again, The message was designed to make me feel guilty. And again it failed. I was simply relieved that they had found a way home. But I also knew that their return would bring new challenges. Would Adam expect to move back into my house? Would he harbor resentment over what he saw as my abandonment? Would our relationship ever recover from this breach of trust? On Thursday, I deliberately scheduled lunch with my friend from painting class, Jean. I needed the distraction, and I didn't want to be sitting at home watching the clock, wondering if Adam would show up. When I returned home around 4 p.m., there was no sign of Adam. I tried not to worry. He had said not to pick them up, which implied they had arranged their own transportation. Perhaps they had gone to a hotel, or to stay with friends. As evening approached with still no word, I finally gave in and called the number Adam had texted me from. It went straight to a generic voicemail for the embassy. Of course, it wasn't his personal phone. I was just considering calling some of his friends when there was a knock at my door. I hurried to answer it, my heart pounding. There stood Adam, looking thinner and more tired than I had ever seen him. His skin was tanned from the European sun, but there were new lines around his eyes and mouth. Behind him stood Yvonne, equally tired-looking, and Ben, whose usual flamboyance seemed dimmed. "Adam," I breathed, relief flooding through me. "You're home." He nodded stiffly. "Can we come in? Just for a minute. We're staying at the Holiday Inn downtown. I thought we should talk." Of course, I stepped aside to let them in. "Would you like something to drink?" "There. Coffee. Water is fine," Adam said. Yvonne and Ben nodded in agreement. As I fetched glasses of water, I noticed that they had only one small suitcase between them, a far cry from the multiple bags they had left with. When I returned to the living room, they were sitting uncomfortably on the edge of the sofa, like visitors rather than family. "So," I said, setting down the water, "you made it home." Adam nodded. "Yeah. It took longer than we expected, but we did it." "I saw on Yvonne's social media that you were working as a waiter?" He glanced at Yvonne, who looked sheepish. "Yeah. At a tourist restaurant near the Louvre. The pay was terrible, but they let me keep tips. And they gave us a room above the restaurant to stay in." "What about you two?" I asked, looking at Yvonne and Ben. "I worked as a hotel maid," Yvonne said quietly. "And Mom got a job as a tour guide for English-speaking tourists." Ben sniffed. "Hardly a tour guide. More like a glorified sign holder. Standing in the rain, shepherding Americans from one landmark to another. It was humiliating. But it got us home," Adam said, with a firmness that surprised me. "We did what we had to do." There was an awkward silence. I could feel the tension in the room, the unspoken accusations, the lingering resentment. But there was something else too, something I hadn't expected to see in Adam's eyes. A newfound maturity. Finally, Adam cleared his throat. "Mom, I owe you an apology. What I did, taking your money without permission, was wrong. I was selfish and thoughtless, and I betrayed your trust. I'm sorry." I was momentarily speechless. In all the years of Adam's mishaps and missteps, I had never heard him take responsibility so clearly, without excuses or deflection. "And I'm sorry for what I said on the phone," he continued. "About hating you. About you not being my mother anymore. I was scared and angry, but that's no excuse. You didn't deserve that." "Thank you, Adam," I said softly. "That means a lot to me." He nodded, staring down at his hands. "When you refused to send money, I was furious. I couldn't believe you would leave us stranded like that. But then at the embassy, the woman we talked to, Ms. Wilson, she said something that stuck with me. She said that sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child face the consequences of their own actions." My eyes filled with tears. Those were almost exactly the words Ruby had used. At first, I thought it was just some diplomatic bull. He caught himself, glancing at me. "Sorry, some diplomatic nonsense." But the more I thought about it, the more I realized she was right. And so were you. "It wasn't easy," I admitted. "Every instinct told me to help you, to fix things the way I always have. But I knew that wouldn't really be helping you in the long run." "No, it wouldn't have been." Adam looked up, meeting my eyes directly. "Those 6 weeks in Paris were the hardest of my life. But also, I don't know. The most real, in a way. For once, I couldn't depend on anyone but myself. I couldn't just call Mom to bail me out. I had to figure it out on my own. And you did, I said, feeling a surge of pride. We did, he corrected, glancing at Yvonne. It wasn't just me. We all had to pull together. Yvonne nodded, reaching for his hand. It changed things between us too. I used to think Adam would always take care of everything, that I didn't have to worry about money or responsibility. But seeing him work so hard, and working alongside him, it made me realize we need to be partners in this. Real partners. Ben sniffed again but remained silent. I suspected her journey of self-discovery had not progressed quite as far as Adam's and Yvonne's. So what happens now? I asked. You mentioned you're staying at the Holiday Inn? Adam nodded. Just until we find an apartment. I've already got a job lined up. Construction work. It's not glamorous, but it pays well. And Yvonne has interviews at 2 different salons next week. And your mother-in-law? I asked, glancing at Ben. I'm going back to my condo, Ben said stiffly. Alone. These 2 need to learn to stand on their own feet. I was surprised. It seemed Ben had done some growing up too. About the money, Adam said, his voice serious. I know $42,000 is a lot. But I promise, Mom, I'm going to pay back every penny. It might take years, but I'll do it. I appreciate that, Adam. It means a lot. And I understand if you don't want me in your life anymore, he added, his voice catching. After what I did, I wouldn't blame you. I moved to sit beside him on the sofa, taking his hand in mine. Adam, listen to me. You are my son. I will always love you. And I will always want you in my life. What I don't want is the unhealthy dynamic we've had for too long, where I enable your irresponsible choices, and you take advantage of my help without ever learning to stand on your own. He nodded, squeezing my hand. I get that now. I really do. So we start fresh, I said. With new boundaries, new expectations. A healthier relationship. I'd like that, Adam said softly. We talked for another hour, working out practical details. Adam would repay me a set amount each month, which we both agreed was reasonable based on his expected income. He and Yvonne would find their own place to live. We would have Sunday dinner together each week, not because they needed a free meal, but because we wanted to maintain our family connection. As they prepared to leave, Adam hugged me tightly. Thank you, Mom, he whispered, for loving me enough to let me fail. I held him close, tears in my eyes. You didn't fail, Adam. You found your strength. And I couldn't be prouder. After they left, I sat in my quiet living room, reflecting on the extraordinary journey we had all taken. 6 weeks ago, I had feared I had lost my son forever. Instead, I had found a new version of him, more mature, more responsible, more aware of the impact of his choices on others. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. Old habits don't disappear overnight, and I knew there would be times when Adam would struggle, when the temptation to fall back into familiar patterns would be strong. But something fundamental had changed. He had proven to himself that he could solve his own problems, that he could face challenges and overcome them through his own efforts. And I had proven to myself that I could love my son without enabling him, that I could set boundaries without rejecting him, that I could be a mother without being a rescuer. In the end, my so-called revenge, letting Adam experience the consequences of his actions, had turned out to be the greatest gift I could have given him. Not abandonment, but freedom. The freedom to discover his own resilience, his own capacity for growth and change. Sometimes the toughest love is the truest love of all. A year has passed since Adam, Yvonne, and Ben returned from Europe. So much has changed that sometimes I hardly recognize my own life, or my son. True to his word, Adam found construction work immediately upon returning. It wasn't just any job though. He started at the bottom, as a general laborer, working longer hours and harder physical labor than he had ever experienced. There were nights when he would call me, his voice weary but satisfied, describing the day's work building a new office complex downtown, or renovating a historic home. My whole body hurts, Mom, he would say with a laugh. But it's a good kind of hurt, you know? The kind that tells you you've done something real. That was new. Adam finding value in honest work, taking pride in his physical exhaustion rather than complaining about it. And he stuck with it. 3 months in, he was promoted to a skilled position. 6 months in, he was leading a small team. By the 9-month mark, his boss was sending him to certification classes, grooming him for management. Yvonne changed too. She found work at an upscale salon, where her genuine talent for hairstyling earned her a loyal clientele. More significantly, she developed a new attitude toward money. Gone were the designer purses and expensive shoes. Instead, she would proudly tell me about the bargains she found at thrift stores or the budget-friendly meal plan she had created for the week. "We're saving for a house," she told me over Sunday dinner, about 6 months after their return. "Just a small starter home, nothing fancy, but something that's ours." The change in their relationship was perhaps the most remarkable transformation. Where once Yvonne had seemed to encourage Adam's irresponsible tendencies, now they worked as a team, supporting each other's goals and holding each other accountable. They had rented a modest apartment on the outskirts of town. Not in the trendy neighborhood they would have chosen before, but in a safe, affordable area that allowed them to save for their future. As for Ben, she had indeed returned to her condo alone. But the experience had changed her too, in subtle ways. She still enjoyed the finer things in life, still planned adventures and urged everyone to live a little. But there was a new awareness in her, a recognition that actions had consequences, that fun came with responsibility. "I've been talking to a financial advisor," she confided to me during a rare one-on-one lunch. "Setting up my own retirement account. I don't want to be a burden on Yvonne when I'm older." And me? I found my own new chapter unfolding. With Adam no longer dependent on me, I could focus on rebuilding my savings and planning my own future. I reduced my hours at the dental office to part-time and expanded my volunteer work at the community center, teaching English to immigrants. I continued my painting classes, discovering a creative side I had neglected for decades. And my friendship with Jean, the widower from my class, blossomed into something deeper. A warm companionship that brought new joy to my life. But perhaps the most meaningful change was in my relationship with Adam. True to his promise, he had been making regular payments toward the debt, never missing a month despite occasional financial setbacks. It wasn't just about the money, though. It was about rebuilding trust, one consistent action at a time. Our Sunday dinners became a cherished tradition, a time for sharing our week's experiences, supporting each other's challenges, celebrating each other's successes. Sometimes Ruby and her family would join us, creating a warm circle of love and laughter that healed old wounds and created new memories. It wasn't all smooth sailing, of course. There were difficult conversations, moments of tension, old patterns that threatened to resurface. About 4 months after their return, Adam lost his temper during a discussion about money, storming out of my house with echoes of his old self-righteousness. But unlike before, he returned the next day, apologizing sincerely and recommitting to our new, healthier relationship. The true test came 8 months after their return. Adam called me on a Tuesday evening, his voice tight with stress. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something," he said. "Can I come over?" When he arrived, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the worry in his eyes. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place where we had had so many difficult conversations before. "What's going on, Adam?" I asked. "Are you okay?" He took a deep breath. "Yvonne's pregnant." Joy surged through me. I was going to be a grandmother again. But I tempered my reaction, sensing that Adam wasn't simply sharing happy news. "That's wonderful," I said cautiously. "But you don't seem entirely happy about it." "No, I am," he said quickly. "We both are. It's just, it wasn't planned. And the timing couldn't be worse. The construction company is laying people off because they lost a major contract. I'm safe for now, but my hours are being cut back. And Yvonne will need to take time off when the baby comes." He ran a hand through his hair. "We've been doing so well, saving for a house, making our payments to you. But now, with a baby coming and my hours being cut." I knew what the old Adam would have done in this situation. He would have asked me for money. Not directly at first, but hinting, making me feel responsible for solving his problems. And the old me would have offered immediately, opening my wallet and my home without hesitation. But we weren't those people anymore. That's tough timing, I acknowledged. What are you thinking of doing? He looked surprised at the question, perhaps expecting an immediate offer of help. But then he straightened his shoulders. Well, I've been putting out applications at other construction companies, just in case. And I've picked up some weekend work helping a buddy with his landscaping business. Yvonne's going to work up until her due date, and her boss has promised to hold her chair for her after a short maternity leave. We're cutting back on everything non-essential. I nodded, pride swelling in my chest. Sounds like you've thought this through carefully. Yeah, he said. And we're going to be okay. It's going to be tight for a while, but we'll manage. He hesitated. The thing is, Mom, I wanted to talk to you about the payments we've been making to you. I don't want to stop them. I made a commitment, and I intend to honor it. But I was wondering if we could reduce the amount temporarily, just until things stabilize. I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Of course we can adjust the payments, Adam. That's not a problem at all. Relief washed over his face. Thank you. That helps a lot. And I continued. I'd like to do something for the baby. Not money, I added quickly, seeing his expression. But maybe I could help set up the nursery? Buy some essentials? That's what grandmothers do after all. A slow smile spread across his face. You'd do that? Even after everything? Adam, I said gently, what happened in the past is in the past. You've shown me over and over this year that you've changed, that you're taking responsibility for your life and your choices. I'm proud of you, and I'm excited to be a grandmother again. He stood and came around the table, wrapping me in a tight hug. I love you, Mom. And I'm sorry it took me so long to become the son you deserve. You're exactly the son I always knew you could be, I whispered, holding him close. And you're going to be an amazing father. 4 months later, I stood in the hospital room, watching Adam hold his newborn daughter with a mixture of terror and wonder on his face. Yvonne looked exhausted but radiant, her eyes never leaving the tiny bundle in Adam's arms. Mom, Adam said softly, turning to me. Would you like to hold your granddaughter? As I took that precious weight in my arms, feeling the incredible softness of her skin, the tiny puffs of her breath, tears filled my eyes. What's her name? I asked. Adam and Yvonne exchanged a look. We've decided to name her Frances, Yvonne said. After your husband. After her grandfather. The tears spilled over then. Frances, Frank's name feminized. A tribute to the husband I had lost, the father Adam had missed for so many years. A connection between past and future. A recognition of the importance of family bonds even through difficult times. It's perfect, I whispered, gazing down at little Frances's sleeping face. She's perfect. As I stood there, holding my granddaughter, surrounded by my son and his wife, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. A journey that had begun with betrayal and heartbreak, with stolen money and angry words. A journey that could have ended our relationship forever, but instead had transformed it into something stronger, healthier, more authentic. My so-called revenge, letting Adam face the consequences of his actions, had never been about punishment. It had been about love. About believing in my son's capacity to grow, to learn, to become the man I always knew he could be. About trusting that our bond was strong enough to weather even the most difficult challenges. Some might call what I did tough love. Others might see it as abandonment. But I know the truth. Sometimes the greatest act of love is to step back, to let go, to trust that those we care about most have the inner strength to find their own path. Adam found his path. And in doing so, he found himself. The responsible husband, the excited father, the loving son that had always been within him, waiting to emerge. As for me, I found a new kind of motherhood. Not the self-sacrificing, boundaryless version that had defined so much of my relationship with Adam, but a balanced, healthy love that respected both his independence and my own needs. Little Frances yawned and stretched in my arms, her tiny fingers grasping at air. Adam came to stand beside me, putting his arm around my shoulders as we both gazed down at this new life, this new beginning. Thank you, he said softly. For what? I asked. For not giving up on me. For believing I could be better, even when I didn't believe it myself. I leaned my head against his shoulder, feeling a contentment I hadn't known in years. "That's what mothers do," I said simply. "We see the best in our children, even when they can't see it themselves." And in that moment, standing in the hospital room with my son and his new family, I knew that the challenges we had faced, the difficult choices we had made, had all been worth it. Not just for Adam, but for me too. We had both found our strength, our independence, our true selves. That was the real reward. Not revenge, but redemption. Not punishment, but growth. Not the end of our story, but the beginning of a new, better chapter. A chapter filled with love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family, made stronger by the very trials that could have broken them. That's it for today's story, friends. I hope Mrs. Lopez's journey touched your heart as much as it touched mine. Sometimes, the hardest choices we make as parents are the ones that come from the deepest love. The choice to step back and let our children face the consequences of their actions. It's never easy, but as we saw with Adam, it can lead to the most beautiful transformations. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming family stories every week. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or your own experiences with tough love. I read every comment and love connecting with each of you. Until next time, remember that sometimes the greatest acts of love don't look like love at all, until you see the beautiful results they create. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'll see you in the next story. Always remember, at Virtuous Stories, we love you.